Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So, since the last video, I picked up a couple of items. I've also ordered some gaskets, but I couldn't find a supplier near me who did them, so I had to order them via the internet. So, as of right now, they're not here yet. But I picked up some oil for the compressor. The side plate on the pump says to use 20 weight, and that's exactly what I got. But as it turns out, they only do this in 5-liter canisters. They don't do it in smaller quantities. So I only probably need about half a liter maximum, so I'm gonna have a lot left over. So if anybody needs some 20 weight oil, you know where to get it. I've also picked up a couple of cans of brake cleaner, and what we're gonna use this for is we will flush the crankcase completely and hopefully get rid of any old rubbish and any old oil that might be inside of it. So let's get started. Okay, so first order of business is going to be to remove the cylinders and to remove the pistons once again. There we go. And this wetness on the top, that's just WD-40. The reason I did that is so when I left for the night, just in case the humidity in here is high or something, I'm not sure if it is high, just so that I don't get any rust spots on tops of the pistons or inside the cylinder bore. I'll probably have to do this upside down somehow, and so whatever I spray inside, so it flows back out again, because I'm doing this as a flush. So let me find out a bucket or a bowl or something like that, and then see what we can do. One more thing worth noting is that I'll have to be replacing the head gaskets as well. As you can see, they didn't survive the removal and the putting back on and the removal again and the assembly back again. So I've ordered some material for those as well. Now at this point you might be wondering, why on earth doesn't he just remove the wheel, the flywheel, the pulley? Well, the reason is because someone welded the, like I said, I'm not the first guy in here. Looks like someone welded the key, the pulley and the shaft all together. Why? I've got no idea, but I'd rather not risk damaging it. I have no idea how deep that weld penetrated, so it's probably just going to be easier to keep it on, even though it means it being a bit unwieldy at the moment. I adjusted some camera settings because I've got a very bright light right here, so I can see what I'm doing inside the crankcase, and so you can see something as well. So the surrounding areas of the picture might be a little bit dark, but bear with me here. Let's see what we can do. Well, I can tell you one thing, guys. There sure is a lot of junk inside this crankcase. Okay, let me tip some of it out. That's quite a bit of... Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the inside of this thing is really filthy. And the stuff that came out is almost black in color. Just doing a little bit of cleanup on the outside as well, just so it looks prettier. Okay, I'm just giving you the shot so you can appreciate how dirty the inside of the thing was. This wasn't a clean piece of MDF to start with, but now it's all covered in just, well, slush. Looks like a lot of it is very fine metal shavings, of course, from wear of the pistons going up and down all the time. Okay, and inside of here, this is the liquid that this is basically the flushing media, the brake cleaner that I used, you know, mixed with oil and stuff, and it is murky brownish black. Okay, so now I'll try to bring it over to you so you can see. Now, what I didn't realize is that the inside of this crankcase is actually white in color, or cream in color. So I actually thought it was just unpainted cast iron, and as it turns out, I was completely wrong. That was just the grime that was inside of the thing. So this is now squeaky clean. Or, you know, as close as it can be to squeaky clean. And I'm gonna do exactly the same treatment, the cylinders, the cylinder heads, and the pistons themselves. And I used almost a full can of brake cleaner doing this. Now this brake cleaner seems to be mostly alcohol, at least from the smell, and just from how volatile the thing is. So first of all, of course, it's extremely flammable, so make sure you don't smoke anywhere near it. But second of all, I'm not too worried with it splashing about. It's just gonna dry up, and I'm gonna leave it in this bucket. So whatever's in here is going to evaporate, and what's left is just going to be the residual oil from the inside of the thing, which I can just pour into my waste oil canister. Now, since this is the closest thing I have to compressed air or anything at the moment, I'm using it to clean up the outside of the cylinder as well, because there's quite a lot of dust in there and general nastiness. Now let's do the cylinder heads. Now, one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to pull apart the valves, because I almost got them working the way I want, so yeah, so I'm not gonna pull it apart again. But I am gonna clean them. Right, like I said, this stuff is very volatile, so that means it evaporates quickly. And that, as it evaporates, it makes whatever it touches very cold, including your hands. So actually my left arm is freezing right now because I got it all over myself. It's probably a very good idea to wear gloves. Well, no, it tells you on a thing, it tells you on a can to wear gloves. So it is a good idea, but I don't know. I'm probably just being stupid. Right, and that's the can pretty much finished. Okay, yep, this can is done. Fortunately, I have one more. And here's one I prepared earlier. That's that. Let's do another cylinder head. I'm probably gonna skip this. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Okay, so yes, my hand is absolutely freezing. But what can I do for science? Let's clean up the pistons, and that should be just about it. There you go. I'm not sure if you can appreciate that on camera, but that is almost black, the inside of this. And don't forget, this is not an internal combustion engine. There's no carbon. There's no ignition, there's no carbon, there's no flame, there's no explosions. So that the oil I poured out of the crankcase is probably the original oil there was whenever this thing was made, probably 60s or 70s. Just gonna give a quick once over to these copper spaces as well. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure if you remember, but in the very first video, this was the very first thing I disassembled. It's the tube that goes from the pump to the tank, and that is probably full of oil as well, because when I pulled it apart there was quite a bit of oil inside. Well, I can see oil on the threads and stuff like that, so I'm gonna try to clean that up. And again, I forgot one more thing, which is this. That's the Y that connects the two pistons together, and then it joins up with the tube that goes in the tank. So that I'll clean the inside of that as well. Yep, the liquid that came out was actually murkish brown. Okay, so that should do the trick. I'm gonna leave everything to dry. I'm gonna leave this to evaporate somewhat so it condenses a little bit more. And like I said, I haven't got the gaskets yet. So I'm gonna join back with you when I've got the gaskets and we can start reassembling the whole thing, okay? See you later. So, welcome back through the magic of post-production editing. Today is 2 days later and we have some gasket material finally, and we're gonna be ready to remake some gaskets. We're gonna start with the gaskets for the heads. The reason for that is because I have one that is semi-intact, okay, and that's gonna be a bit easier to duplicate. The one for the cylinder base itself I'm gonna have to make entirely from scratch with no real positive reference, so it's gonna be a bit more trickier. So we'll start with this one first. Okay, that's reading 0.21 of a millimeter. And let's see if I've got gasket material in similar thickness. Let's have a look. Okay, this is measuring very close. It's measuring 0.23, so I'm gonna use this. And what I'm thinking is, because this was compressed, the old one was compressed for so long, it's actually measuring thinner than what it's supposed to be. Besides, 0.02 of a millimeter shouldn't matter too much. That's about 1/1000th of an inch. So, is that right? Is it 1/1000th of an inch? I'm not sure. There we go. That's what I ended up with. That will have to do. Okay, and I just have to repeat this one more time. So I have two. So now, a very simple method: a razor blade, some additional lighting. That's probably blowing out the image for you guys, but I know, I need to see this very well. So I'm just gonna cut them out. Okay. This might just work. Actually, yes, this might just work. Okay, that's not bad. Hopefully, probably being optimistic, but hopefully this is going to do the trick. Now I need to punch the holes for the studs to go through. All that is just a piece of leather. I'll put it underneath so that my punch can go through easily. Please tell me it worked. Oh yeah, it did work. Okay. That's not perfect, it's not pretty, but I think it should work. So now I need to concern myself with making a gasket for this. Now this is going to have to be a thicker material. Okay, so what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this 0.4 of a millimeter material. Okay, and that should, don't forget it's going to be stacked twice because this goes on first, then there's a copper spacer, then there's another gasket on top of it. So hopefully that is going to give me a complete, it is going to give me enough vertical distance so the pistons clear the cylinder head. So let's have a look at how we do this. Of course, in this particular case, it's not as easy because I haven't got an original gasket to work against. So I'm gonna have to measure everything. And let's have a look. 4.6. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So my plan to measure and guess and cut and measure and guess and pray didn't quite work. Okay, this is rubbish, doesn't fit at all. But I had another idea. What I've done is I've taken the cotton rods off, and so I'm left with a nice flat base. And what I did is I put it on my copying machine, praying that the weight of this wouldn't crack the glass. And what I've done is I made a photocopy, and that should mean it should be much easier to cut it out and get the right hole locations and everything else, and everything should be in proper measurements. So let's give this a shot. So this, at least in theory, and guess what? It matches up perfectly. So now all I need to do is transfer this to the gasket paper and cut it out. Okay. Let's have a look. Right. I think that's good enough for me, guys. I just need to punch the holes. It is a tiny bit off, but you know what? Good enough for me. There we go. Let's check this one. Good enough, I think. Okay. Let's try to screw the studs in and see how it goes. Not perfect, but doesn't work. I hope. So, we go next. I think that should do the trick, guys. I think that should do the trick just fine. Okay. It's actually getting really late. It's about 1 AM at the moment. So I'm almost gonna call this a day. The last thing I'm gonna do tonight is I'll reattach the conrods and attach a piston, maybe even both of them. I just want to see if the top of the piston is now going to clear the top of the cylinder. Okay, so long story short, the intake valve is still a problem, but at least I've got the pistons clearing the heads. So that's it for today. We'll be troubleshooting the valves some more in the next video. See you later, guys.